and welcome back to It Figures, and we are continuing the Toys That Made Us episodes, and tonight I am actually going to be reviewing some of the original Star Wars figures that came out with the line that we just reviewed yesterday. Now, of course, you can see as R2's sitting here, he's been well played with, as he should have been when I was a kid. And this is R2 from Empire Strikes Back. Now, as you can see, they actually gave him like a face, which even bothered me a little bit when I was a kid. It's like he has one big eye, one small eye, and I guess a nose or mouth or whatever that's supposed to be there. So I guess they needed to have this look like he had some sort of personality. And the sticker on here, of course, because I held it and played with it so much, is worn off. But it was basically, you know, the front of R2, and it had the vents and whatever. And on the back was the same exact sticker. So they just put the same sticker on the front as they did the back. Which, again, you know, for this time period, detail wasn't, I guess, their major priority. You can see a little bit better back there than you can the front. There is no third leg, but there's a screw there to hold his head on, as you can see down there. And the head itself does rotate, and it clicks too. So it still clicks. It barely moves, but it does click. And the best thing about this figure is when I saw it for the first time is this. It has the antenna that pulls up. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And it actually has a little bit of detail there on the antenna. I don't know if you can see it or not. It has one tiny little line that goes across there. It don't really turn well. I mean, you can turn it, but it's made to be fit back inside the head part here, so it looks like it's part of the head. And it's actually really well done. It has a little clip there that you can grab and pull out. So I always loved that. I thought that was like the coolest thing. And he does have some movement like that, but he doesn't have a third leg, so he can roll around like that. I guess putting a third leg in would have been too difficult back then. But yeah, it's actually a pretty cool figure. Now, this is probably one of the oldest ones I still have from the original line. And of course, it's Greedo. And he's very, very loose. And the thing I always loved about him as a kid was the texture on his body. He actually has grooves in his outfit, as you can hear, and even on his arms too, they have grooves. So I always thought that was really great. And they actually do have some pretty decent texture in his head. And it looks like there's mud still in his mohawk, or whatever you want to call that, from all those years back from me playing with him, probably outside. And yeah, I would never wash that off because that's really great, just to show you how much, you know, play he actually got. And he did have two antennas here, which of course are long gone. They probably fell off, or I tore them off as a kid. And his back is pretty plain. Again, it has the texture here on his body. So yeah, overall, Greedo was a pretty cool figure. Next up is probably one of the second oldest ones I have, and of course this one is a Jawa. And back in the day, they actually used to release these things. It has hair all over it from who knows where. They actually used to release these things with real cloth outfits on, as you can see here. And the Jawas were always one of my favorite figures because they're always mysterious. And I loved, you know, their glowing eyes. And I just really like these figures a lot. Not sure if the camera can pick it up or not, but in the face itself, it's not really just black. It actually has some texture in there, like some scratching where the face would be. And again, just these are the details I actually noticed when I was a kid. I was like, that's really cool. I like the fact that they did that. And if you're wondering what the underneath of the Jawa, I'm not going to take the whole robe off, but it's a brown outfit he's basically wearing. Again, pretty well detailed for these figures. Now let's move back into Empire Strikes Back. So Lobot, I actually just found him the other day, believe it or not. He was back in my storage area, laying on the ground behind a shelf. How he got there, I have no idea. But this is my original Lobot I had when I was a kid. And I've always been fascinated by this character. I think he's just so cool. I'm assuming, I don't know his background, I'm assuming he's some sort of cyborg. And of course he has this big thing around the back of his head that was so well detailed in the movie. And here, it's not actually too bad either. It's pretty cool looking. As you can see, some of the paint's worn off over time, of course. But as for an actual figure, I think they did a really great job capturing him. He even has some of the electronics on his belt here. And his face actually kind of looks like the character from the movie, the sculpt. And it's pretty cool. I mean, just a really, really nice figure. Now, for some reason, this is one of my most complete figures that I own. And he looks almost brand new. So I guess I didn't play with him as much as I did the other figures. But this is my original Yoda from Empire Strikes Back. And this, when I got this as a kid, I was blown away. I had no idea they made a Yoda figure. I got this for my birthday, and I was just blown away by it. I was so shocked by the fact that they made this figure. And today, it's still a great figure. It has a lot of accessories. It has a snake that goes around him. It has the cane he's holding. It has a really cool belt that he has that has a lot of accessories on it. And of course, his cloth outfit, which if you did take it off, which I'm not going to, but if you took it off, you can see he does actually have a hump on his back. And again, it's a very happy Yoda, but it's Yoda. And again, they captured the face and the expression and the whole outfit and just everything. This is one of my favorite figures from Empire Strikes Back. Fantastic. So, continuing Empire Strikes Back, here is a Wampa that has not aged very well, and he's missing a couple parts of him, actually, like the horns. I remember getting this guy for Christmas, and I was so excited to actually get the Wampa for Christmas. And as you can see here, I mean, he's been split open. Of course, this is the original Wampa. His horns fell out at some point. And this, I guess, sort of looks like him from the movie. They didn't really show him that well. He probably didn't have this nose in the original Empire Strikes Back. I don't even really know if they showed him that well to get a sculpt. I guess they must have tried to guess well enough. But he has these really well sculpted hands, and I always loved those as a kid. And he actually has claws on here. And back in the day, the claws were pretty sharp. So they did a great job sculpting the hands here. Of course, you can see what age did to this guy. He's yellow on top, but his legs are still white. So this was the original color of him when I got him. And since he's aged so bad, I guess the hollow plastic of the body just turned yellow over time. And for my last figure, I have the original Tauntaun, once again from Empire Strikes Back. And you can kind of tell this is the original Tauntaun because, again, he's aged. And the one cool thing that this guy had was that you can see on the saddle here the fake legs that they sculpted into the saddle. So when you put a figure in here, there's a little trap door that opens up. So let me put let's see. Greedo is riding the Tauntaun as he did, in the movie. But when he's sitting in the saddle, it's pretty ingenious. He's just sitting there, but it looks like his legs are in the saddle. So they did a really great job with the sculpt here. So there you go. There is my very small collection that I have from the original Star Wars film. And Vince actually has a much, much larger, much more impressive collection. So now I am going to turn it figures over to Vince. So now he can show you what he has from his original Star Wars collection. Take it, Vince.
Okay, thanks, Dave. As he said, I have a lot of the original Star Wars figures as well. As a matter of fact, I've got a little more extensive collection of Star Wars figures than David has. So I'm going to do and show you these Star Wars figures as quickly as I can. First figure I'm going to show is of my favorite character in Star Wars ever, and that is the character of Han Solo. And there he is, from the original 1977 Star Wars film. And obviously all of these action figures have been played with. There's, he's just a little bit of scratch of paint there on his hair, but so is Harrison Ford, I believe. So, anyway, here's Han Solo's backside. Manufactured 1977, copyright. It's held up pretty well, I must say. So as you can see, Chewbacca is still a little dusty, a little dirty, but actually, he's in pretty good shape too. For the time that they came out, they're really highly detailed for what they did. I mean, this was the first time they'd ever took an action figure and made it into this size and shape. So, you know, for doing that, I mean, they actually kind of fit the characters as best that they could. Now, obviously, he's holding his, what's supposed to be his bowcaster, but they never did make it to where it has the actual bow on the front of it. Luke Skywalker. There he is. Yep, that's the original Luke Skywalker from the original Star Wars film, and obviously he's been played with quite a bit. You know, his white shirt there has become stained yellow for its age, and obviously he's missing some hair. But like Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill's missing some hair, so I guess that kind of goes along with it. He's missing some hair there. My brother had bought a pack of weaponry from eBay, and so he was able to get this yellow lightsaber. One thing we never did understand about Luke as to why they gave him a yellow lightsaber, because of course he had the blue one in the movie. And it's got this little, you know, slide up and down. And David and I were asking why this little thing is here, because obviously mine's bent, because it just gets, eventually they bend or they break or they fall off or get chewed on or whatever. Once again, Luke Skywalker. But this one is in a little better shape, and it's from Empire Strikes Back. And his Bespin fatigues is what they called it. And originally, there you can see his lightsaber on his belt. And it's all black instead of silver. And there's his holster for his gun, for his blaster. This particular figure came with a straight lightsaber, and it had like a flat hilt and an actual rounded, it looked more like a lightsaber actually. It did, but except that it was flat, so you could stick it in this hand. See where his hand's a little flattened there? You can actually stick the lightsaber in his hand. Princess Leia. There she is. The original Princess Leia from 1977. And again, she's starting to miss some hair. But once again, this cape is not the original cape that came with the figure. The cape is also something that my brother found on eBay. He found a bunch of capes. So he went and bought these, so we have the original. It is the original cape for Princess Leia. However, it's not the original cape for this figure, is what I'm getting at. I am Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard since... before you were born. Yep, Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or Ben Kenobi, as he's known in Star Wars. This was actually one of the very first figures that we got. One of the absolute very first figures that we got was Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader. And I don't have my Darth Vader. I looked for him and I could not find him, but I did find Ben Kenobi, and here he is. There he is, R2-D2. And I know David showed his R2-D2 with the sensor scope. This is the original R2-D2 from 1977. And there's what he looked like underneath. No third leg, just the screw to hold his head on. And yes, his head does turn, but doesn't click very well. I got another R2-D2 to show you. And this one came out, this was one of the last R2-D2s that came out, because they came out with Power of the Force figures. The very last line that they did was the Power of the Force figures. And this R2-D2 came out at the very end, before they actually did not sell any more Star Wars figures. And as you can see, it's just a little bit different. Obviously, the bottom's different. And part of the reason that it's different is because you're going to... I know you're seeing this little green thing up here, and I'll show you what it is here when I turn his head. Because when you turn his head... Now, this is from Return of the Jedi, and that's why it does this. As you can see, turn his head... See, a lightsaber pops up out of it. So as you turn his head, but you actually turn his head backwards. See, so that's the backside of R2-D2. So when you turn his head around, that's when the lightsaber pops out, which is why the bottom of the figure looks like it does. R5-D4. There he is. R5-D4. And I believe, yep, his head will... Bausch from Return of the Jedi. And has her great big long frickin' rifle there. And obviously well played with. And one of the things that was so cool about this figure was this option here. Whoops. Gotta take her rifle out. Okay, and obviously there's her mask. Bausch's mask. And this was one of the things that I thought was the coolest, because they started doing this with Return of the Jedi figures, was boop, giving them helmets where you could take the helmet off. And there's Princess Leia's face, and it's really bright on her. And she's losing some hair. And Princess Leia, for some reason, they've never been able to get her face right. I don't know why. But again, when they made this, I mean, that was pretty close to Carrie Fisher as they could get. I mean, for the time that they made these. Later on, when they actually did try to use the likenesses, Princess Leia always came out looking like Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's what me and David and Becky always thought. She really looks like Anthony Kiedis. C-3PO. There he is. In all his gold glory. You want to see the original C-3PO that we had? Because we still have it. Here he is. The original C-3PO. He's missing a hand because Darth Vader cut his hand off. Well, in Force Awakens, he's missing that whole arm. It's red. I guess it kind of goes with the movie. Started at the hand. Yeah. And as you can see, he was losing a lot of his gold paint. So my brother and I tried to repaint him, and we painted him in gold. But it wasn't really shiny gold. Lando Calrissian. And like I said, with the Return of the Jedi figures, they were coming out with new... they had new little gimmicks on there, so well, actually, it wasn't too new, because they did it with the Jawas. They had cloth hoods with the Jawas. This one, it came with a cloth cape. Okay, so here's Lando Calrissian from The Empire Strikes Back. And obviously, his blue shirt is turning green. Boba Fett. That's right, the baddest bounty hunter in all the galaxy. And he comes with a Stormtrooper gun. That actually is the original Stormtrooper gun that he came with. A biker scout from Return of the Jedi. And again, its torso's turning yellow. Now, I always thought these were one of the coolest Stormtroopers ever. I absolutely loved the biker scouts. Stormtrooper. Just his backside's turning yellow. Anakin Skywalker. There he is, the original Anakin Skywalker. We had to go and mail in all the proofs of purchase. I forget how many it was. It was like, I don't know, 12 or 15 of them or something like that we had to mail in. He was one of the last mail order figures that you could order, was Anakin Skywalker. Wicket, the Ewok. I always thought this was one of the coolest figures too, because not only does he have the headdress, which you can pop on and off of him, and this is the original headdress, by the way. This is the original figure and the original headdress. Bib Fortuna, or Tuna, or something like that. Bib Fortuna, Fortuna, whatever he is. When Return of the Jedi came out, they really started stepping up and putting cloth things, because it was a big hit with Yoda and the Jawas and all that. That was a big selling point. Even Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi came with a cloth hood. And it was so cool. So cool. And I don't have that figure here in front of me, but I do have it. There's Bib Fortuna.